Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is almost time for baseball. You see, I've got the World Series Yankees gear on. I always got the championship hat there in the background. But I'm not here to talk baseball. We all know we've got a long 162 game season to talk baseball all year long, all summer long. I'm here. It's the month of March. I'm here to talk about the madness, and it's getting real sweet right now because we're entering the Sweet 16. Tomorrow, Thursday, we get our first action of the 16 remaining teams in the college tournament. And ooh, these games and these matchups are so juicy. We're about to get into it, all of that, a little bit more headlines that broke yesterday in the college realm as well. All of that, plus a little bit more. But first things first, this is another great episode of Oh Brother the Podcast. And I'm, of course, your host, Coop. Let's get right into it, man. The month of March has been maddening all month long, starting with this, not only the conference tournament, but of course the NCAA tournament, man. We've got really good matchups uh, coming down the pike here in the Sweet 16. I did okay with my bracket here. Now that I look at it, I did okay. I did my official bracket. I did post it on Instagram on my story and on Twitter. So if you guys follow me there, I signed it and dated it for you guys because everybody likes to look back. I even made some corrections where I was not right there at some of the Sweet 16 games. 5 wrong out of the 16. 11 to 16. That's not too bad, bro. Considering most of the teams are either a top 4 seed outside of maybe 2 teams. I think Iowa's 9 and Tennessee is 6. So you got top 4 teams in each bracket making the Sweet 16. So that kind of leads to my first discussion before we get into any of the matchups. Is the Cinderella story over in the NIL era? I don't think so. Here's why. Because there's always a chance, and we saw it here early on in this tournament. It just didn't go how we thought it was going to go in terms of the Cinderella side. But you always got a chance with some random white guy in East Bubblefuck University coming into this tournament, shooting 7 of 11 from 3 and getting hot and dropping 30 on you and waving goodbye to your $10 million NIL team. It almost happened with a couple of teams. Duke almost went down to Siena in the first round. Hell, Howard was giving Michigan some go in the first half until they eventually broke it open in the second half. So there's teams and there's players across this country that people are unaware of that can ball, man, and they're going to give you competition on any given day because they know the stakes. And I think what needs to be honed in about the NCAA tournament, it's one and done. So if you don't have your best on that given day, and the other team is coming with their best, because you know that they're playing a high-ranking opponent, they're going to come and get you, man. The Cinderella story is not over, not just yet. And some of those guys that get hot and get this TV time and get exposure, more than likely going to be making some good money from the NIL on a major Power 4 program the following year. Best believe they're getting recruited. Kentucky's going to need a shooter. Maryland's going to need a big man. Illinois is going to need a shooting guard, stuff like that. And if you're a good man, they'll find you. Trust me. With that being said, the Cinderella story is not over. It's not dead completely, but it will not. I don't believe it will happen this year, considering looking at all the major teams that are left in this bracket. Let's break it down game by game. I'm gonna start off, man. I'm gonna start with Friday slate first, but just because that was my more easier predicted side of the bracket, and I got most of that right. I literally, before putting this bracket in, I wrote Duke St. John's in the Sweet 16 easily. And not easily because I thought St. John's was going to beat Kansas in overtime. They literally won on the last second buzzer beater. And I wrote on my bracket, so you guys can see before, I was like, Duke, St. John's, literally overtime. And Duke wins. That's how I feel like it's coming down to. St. John's plays really good defense. Rick Pitino has revived his coaching career there at St. John's and got these boys absolutely rolling. Couldn't do nothing last year with Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey because it was just those two guys just going for it, really trying to prove their draft stock. But now they're playing a little more formidable team basketball, and everything looks good. The Boozer brothers are outstanding. They really are, and they need to be mentioned and celebrated because they are one of the, well, at least the big one inside is definitely one of the better talents in the country right now, for sure. This is a guy who is the projected top 3, if not top 5 NBA draft pick. It's gonna be hard to stop him inside. And also, I just feel like Duke is going on. I have them as my champion pre-tournament, and I'm still sticking with that pick. Fun fact for you guys: every time Duke has won a national championship, they have beaten St. John's along the way. So if Duke gets past St. John's here in the Sweet 16, you can almost pencil them in for another championship run. Moving on, Michigan and Alabama. Michigan, really big inside. Their their front court is really tall, really strong. These guys, Michigan is always a team that's in there, just like Michigan State, which I'm going to get to next. Fundamentally sound. That's all. And Alabama, they've had a bunch of luck along the way, moving forward, and they're going to need a little more luck to beat Michigan in the Sweet 16. That's all I got to say. All right, Michigan State, UConn. Why? Why not, man? Tom, just another Sweet 16 and another Sweet 16 that Michigan State is in with Tom Izzo. This guy doesn't miss a Sweet 16. Not only does he not, he's going to miss the tournament or he's going to make the Sweet 16. That's it. I love the level of dedication from Tom Izzo in this Michigan State ball club. I'm leaning towards the coaching. I'm going to go Michigan State there with those guys. Tennessee and Iowa. Tennessee kind of busted my bracket here because who did I have for them? I had UVA, my silly ass, of all teams. Like Virginia, of all teams that we know that can blow a big game, why did I go ahead and pick Virginia to come out on strong? Man, sheesh. But I'm a big fan of the team they're playing, though, and that's Iowa State. This is a team I've been seeing a bunch over the last couple of years. Their new coach has got them like just playing team, fundamentally sound basketball, great defense. Their best player did get a little banged up this past game, but I'm not worried about it, man. I have Iowa State going all the way to the championship game in my bracket. In the original bracket, and I'm still picking them to go to the championship game against Duke, ultimately falling short to Duke, of course. But this is a team that is going to shock some and surprise a lot. I'm just saying. Iowa State, they're one of the best defensive units in America, man. Best defensive units in America. I will say that. All right, jumping up to tomorrow because I'm recording here in Wednesday here. So tomorrow, Thursday slate, we're getting right at that's the start of the Sweet 16. And it starts off with Texas and Purdue. God damn it, Texas. You are the main team that has busted my bracket, man. I wouldn't say lucky. I normally root for Texas as a football program because their favorite color is orange. I just always fell in love with the mystique of the big, high-profile football program that Texas is. But for basketball, I could care less. They've gotten a little lucky here. I will say that. They've proven that, hey, we might could have stumbled and had a little shaky regular season. We didn't do too much in the SEC. They literally went one of the first 4 teams in. They were 11. They had to play to get in. And look now, they're in the Sweet 16. So shout out to Texas for that. Purdue stays with a 7-footer, man. That's gonna kill you inside. And they got another one this year. Gonna be hard to stop that guy. And they're hoping for Purdue beatdown. At this point, no, man, Purdue was good. I just thought that BYU was gonna make a run. And that's why I say Texas busted my bracket. I thought DeBonza was just gonna go on this like historic run and just solidify himself as the number 1 overall NBA draft pick. And it just didn't happen. I mean, he balled out against Texas, scored virtually, I think, more than half the points. Just wasn't enough to get past Texas there for whatever reason. Had BYU probably took. Damn, I didn't realize they had BYU in the Final Four. But that's fine. Okay, it is what it is. Brackets are meant to be busted, man. Nobody's going to be perfect nowadays with the way it's going. They say you have a better chance of winning the lottery twice in the same week than having a perfect bracket. So it is what it is. All right, Iowa and Nebraska. Man, I feel like I was playing above their level. Am I tripping? Like, I understand they come from Big Ten ball, that's some of the best in the country, but I haven't seen much of them this year to really determine. The same thing goes for Nebraska, who they're playing. I just can't call it. This game was a really close matchup. I'll be looking forward to watching it just so I can get to know who's on that roster and who's the ballers on those respective teams. Alabama and Arkansas. This is probably the my favorite game that I want to check out. Not for only one reason only. Darius Acuff may be the best player in the country. It was announced today that he has signed a signature shoe deal with Reebok. First college player to get his own signature shoe with a major shoe company. Darius Acuff. I mean, when he had his breakout game, I believe it was against Alabama during the regular season, where they had like 50, we had like 50 plus points in a loss in overtime against Alabama. I watched that game; it was absolutely phenomenal. The playmaking ability that he was asserting himself, man. He was getting to the rack, dropping dimes, shooting threes, step back J's from mid range. How you want it, you can get it, man. Darius Acuff might be the best player in the country right now, and may be the number one overall pick, depending on the order of the draft. He is an outstanding point guard, and there's a shortage of true point guards in the NBA right now. Trust me, my Houston Rockets could use one. Arizona is probably the best overall team in the country. So them versus a John Calipari coach Arkansas team led by Darius Acuff, that's going to be a great matchup, man. I feel like that's going to be back and forth, possibly another overtime matchup. And this is really what this is going to be a type of game that the tournament is built on. This Arkansas Alabama team. I'm sorry, Arkansas Arizona game. Illinois Houston would be really good too. I had them right in the bottom half of that South bracket to go to the Sweet 16. So I'm glad about that. Illinois is very good inside. They're very tall and lengthy inside. They were dunking on cats, man, like crazy in that VCU game. Houston, though, in the regular season has lost some close games late to really good teams. And that's the only thing that concerns me with this squad. They've kind of gotten it together in the tournament. So when the pressure's on, we'll see if they crack. That's all I really have for them. Yeah, that'll be an up and down, back and forth game, a defensive minded game. So I might be looking to take the under in that game. We'll see. But man, this tournament has been really good. I like it because the stars come out and shine, and you see who's going to probably be the next up and coming great NBA players that's out there and that decide to go to college, and they put their skills on display. And a lot of those guys that went to bad programs and just wanted to be a star and get all the money. Most of those guys don't make the tournament and allow themselves to shine. They might make an all conference team or something like that and just wait for the draft. But allowing yourself to get this much exposure and this TV time and at least get your name out there, and then at least people can Google you and stuff like that. That simple step can help elevate a guy slots up the draft. And then if you get invited to the NBA Combine and such, this is just an extension of professional sports, but it allows guys to make one last run because not everybody's going to be making the league. Most of these guys are not. Maybe one guy from each program is going to have a shot at making the NBA. So most of this is guy's last ride. And eventually, D1 college basketball players, you're there to get a degree ultimately, but you got to go work a regular job after that. Not everybody has a shot to make the NBA. It's just that simple. So, man, I love college basketball. Breaking news of last night: Hubert Davis, head coach of North Carolina, will not be returning to the program. A little bit of a disappointing tournament run. They lost I know North Carolina, they lost to VCU in a comeback victory in overtime in the first round. And I know my dad was loving that because, VCU grad, shout out to the Rams. But to be down your best player, I know they lost in the first round, but to be down your best player in conference tournament and then come NCAA tournament, I thought that would have been enough to at least give Hubert Davis one more crack at having a successful UNC season. That did not happen. They chose not to retain him. They want to go a different route. The success has not been there since their previous esteemed head coach, I think his name's Williams, retired, and they brought in Hubert Davis. Hubert Davis is a decent coach, but I don't know if he's relating to the players like maybe Greg Williams once did. The roster was there this year, and to get bounced in the first round, I understand how that could be the final straw for him. You haven't been beating Duke or at least competitive for the most part against Duke. You haven't been winning, it's either Duke or North Carolina winning the ACC championship for the most part year to year. You haven't been in that ranks yet. And then once you get into the tournament, you lose first round. So North Carolina's also been really bad at football this year, bringing in Bill Belichick. So I think a culmination of that, and then the basketball team not reaching the heights that it was destined to this year kind of put the athletic director at a disadvantage trying to work with Hubert Davis and him building that program back to prominence, and decided to go in a different direction. So from that standpoint, I do understand that, and you got to do what you got to do, man. It's tough, just like in college or professional sports. You got to win ball games to keep your job. Simple as that. And sometimes you got to win a lot of ball games when you're coaching for a prestigious program, such as the North Carolina Tar Heels. Shout out to Hubert Davis. I hope he rebounds well. The rumor is coming into the offseason here for the Tar Heels, they want to go outside of the house. They normally keep it in house in terms of the coaching hires, elevating an assistant coach or something like to that nature. But they decide to go outside with the new hire, and Billy Donovan, head coach of the Chicago Bulls, 2006 national champion with the Florida Gators, is suspected to be the number one candidate for the Tar Heels. Not mad at that. I think Billy Donovan is a really good head coach. I think he struggled some in the NBA, fairly mediocre, if you ask me, in the NBA in terms of his coaching prowess. More dominant in NCAA. Rules have changed a bunch, though, for him. I don't know if that transition back might be the best thing for him for right now. But also, NBA money, NBA travel, NBA everything is just better, even though you would be going to a big money-making program like UNC. So there's pros and cons for Billy Donovan. But, he may go back to college and elevate his career, again to new heights, because if he stays in the NBA, he's probably going to be bouncing around from mediocre franchise to mediocre franchise. And the Chicago Bulls right now are not willing to put out a winning roster on the floor. They just pretty much sold everybody at the deadline. They're looking to rebuild. And do they want to keep Billy Donovan on as head coach and possibly give him a raise? Considering OKC did the same thing to him when they were rebuilding, decided not to retain him after his contract expired, and then he moved on to the Bulls. Wow. Little Billy Donovan history lesson there. That's just all off the top of the dome. Man, so we're looking good in the Sweet 16, man. I hope you guys enjoy. Let me know who you have as your champion so far. How busted was your bracket? Let me know down in the comments. And please like and subscribe, guys. That goes a huge way with getting this content in front of somebody else that might be a like-minded person as yourself. So I appreciate all the love and support. We'll catch you on the next time. Peace.